Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Mutual Aid Program webinar series sponsored by American Friends Service Committee's Michigan Criminal Justice Program and the Michigan Collaborative to End Mass Incarceration, also known as MySemi. My name is Daniel Jones, and I will be your moderator. If at any time during our webinar you have questions, please utilize the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen, and we will do our best to provide answers. This is the third installment in a series of 9 webinars that will span from now through July 2021. They are scheduled every third Wednesday of the month at 5 p.m., and I encourage you to join us. Tonight's webinar is about goal planning, motivation, and safe use. This webinar series is hosted by Angela Amison, who is AFSC's Mutual Aid Coordinator. Angela has a bachelor's degree in behavioral science from the University of Michigan and also a master's degree in management from Walsh College. She is a certified ally through the U of M Spectrum Center regarding LGBTQIA+ issues. She is an Air Force veteran with over 8 years of federal service, with direct experience in health and human services, law enforcement, Michigan legislative initiatives, and an array of social justice issues. Please welcome Mrs. Angela Amison. We also have with us tonight certified substance abuse counselor Nicholas Wright, who is a Virginia licensed professional counselor resident and certified substance abuse counselor in Charlottesville, Virginia. In addition to his work at an opioids addiction treatment center, he also provides culturally responsive mental health services through an affiliation with the Central Virginia Clinicians of Color Network. Hailing from Cincinnati, Ohio, by way of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, Nicholas has made a career of helping people meet their goals by working through obstacles for over 10 years. In his free time, Nicholas enjoys hiking and exploring nature. The following is a quote from Mr. Wright. I help clients cope with trauma by helping a client change their inner life so they can more effectively change their outer world. I think too many therapists only strive for changing a client's self and leave them in a position to adapt to the world instead of working to put them in a position to change the world. Please welcome Mr. Nicholas Wright.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Thank you for being here. At this time, I will pass it to our mutual aid coordinator, Ms. Angela Amison, for her presentation. Angela.
Thank you, Danny, for that amazing introduction. And I also would like to give a special thanks to our new staple for the Mutual Aid webinar series, Nicholas Wright, who is our certified substance abuse counselor and resident in counseling.
Thank you.
No problem, Nick. Sorry. AFSC Mutual Aid Program is designed to assist in reentry needs for folks who's returning from Michigan prisons and jails that have a drug use history. The Mutual Aid Program embodies harm reduction as the model of helping. Harm reduction is the method of helping that to assist people that does not perpetuate the historic structures of shame and harm. And a part of doing that, we must talk about safe use. What can we do while doing drugs to be safe? And so some of these are a part of these 6 bullet points. One is hygiene. So let's just be real. We must keep ourselves clean. We must use clean utensils. We must, draw in on the resources that we have to get needles, tourniquets, and all those things that you can actually get by accessing the mutual aid program here at AFSC. If you call me at 517-225-9295, no matter the time or day, I will make sure that you have what you need to stay safe. Consistency. So we all know about our hit songs making our plug come down. Well, part of that is you must stay with the same plug. You must keep that consistency. Do not search around for avant-garde deals and new uses. Stay with what you know. If that's what you like, stay with what you like. Don't go out chasing any new thrills. That's the best way to keep you safe. Resources. Understanding that resources are definitely hard to come across. It's COVID, things are shut down. But again, leaning on resources like the mutual aid program here at AFSC, I am more than willing to talk, discuss, and figure out ways that we can keep you and those that you love around. Do not isolate. The biggest thing that you can do to not stay safe is to use alone, to not let people know, to deal within that shame of having to be closeted about use, having to hide what you're doing, and also just doing it by yourself. Group use is actually safe use. Assert your needs. You do not have to be anything that you don't want to be. You do not have to say that you're doing things that you are not. You don't have to consent to things that you do not want to consent to. If you know that you need a certain gauge needle to properly use, assist and assert yourself and say that these are your needs, and do not have shame or do not feel that you are wrong for asserting the needs that you have to make sure that you sustain your life. And also, know and trust yourself. If something is telling you that something isn't right, it doesn't matter if it may be rational or if it's not founded in something, it's founded in you. And that's what is actually the most important thing. As a mutual aid coordinator at AFSC, I believe you and I believe your experience. And I'm not here to demonize, shame, or to detract from that. So trust what you think, trust what you know, and do and act on what you believe. And if there's any time that you may want to just have someone to bounce an idea off of, or hey, you heard of a new drug, a new way of using, I'm here to discuss that as well. But at the end of the day, this is your journey, and I'm just here to support. So, with all that being said, we're going to go into 10 tips for goal planning. Please stay tuned and watch this video.
Today, we're going to talk about goals. We all got them. Goals are dreams, aspirations, and desires, which are the object or focus of someone's ambition. Goal setting helps trigger new behaviors, helps guide your focus, and helps you to sustain that momentum in life. Goals also help align your focus and promote a sense of self mastery. Goal setting is the process of taking active steps to achieve your desired outcomes. Maybe your dream is to own your own landscaping business or become a teacher, musician, or maybe a personal trainer. Each one of these dreams involves setting and reaching small and big goals. Each of these major goals can be broken down into smaller, more obtainable goals that will propel you towards success. Here are 10 goal planning tips to help you succeed. 1. Set both in short and long term goals. A short term goal is a goal you can achieve in 12 months or less. For example, take a class, buy a new TV, write my resume. A long term goal is something you want to do further in the future. Long term goals require time and planning. They are not something you can do this week or even this year. Long term goals usually take 12 months or more to achieve. Here are some examples of goals that take several years to achieve. Graduate from college, save for retirement, have your own business. Tips for setting long-term goals. Work backwards. Think about what you want to achieve, then plan steps going back to what you can do right now. Create a picture of where you want to be in life 10 years from now. Think about what you need to do it in 5 years, in 1 year, in 6 months, to make it as obtainable as possible. Write down what you need to do each month to achieve that goal. After each monthly goal is achieved, look at your goal and adjust them as needed. Number 2, SMART goals. SMART goals is an acronym that stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time-based. S, Specific, highly detailed statement on what you want to accomplish. Use who, what, where, how. M, measurable. How will you demonstrate and evaluate how your goal has been met? A, attainable. The fact that goals have to be attainable is standard advice on the topic of how to set goals. Pretty well everyone knows there's no point in getting a goal that you never be able to achieve. All you do is get frustrated and abandon it. Less well known is the fact that goals need to stretch you in some fashion. If a goal isn't engaging, you get bored and abandon it. Choose goals that are obtainable and achievable stretches. R, relevant. How does your goal align with your objectives? And T, time based. Set one or more target dates. These are the by when to guide your goal to successful and timely completion, including deadlines, frequency, and dates. Number 3, commit to your goals. You need to dedicate yourself to accomplish the goal you have chosen. That's why writing your goals down is a common goal setting tip. It's the first step to committing to achieving your goals. Develop an action plan that clearly outlines your goals and how you intend to achieve them. Motivate yourself with the rags to riches story or a famous quote. Also realize that accomplishing a goal is not an overnight process and that you're going to have to work regularly at transforming your goals into accomplishments. And you have to set aside the time you will need to work on your goal. Number 4, write your goals down and put them in a place you can see. Writing down your goals helps create a vision in your mind of how you want to be in the future. You can visually see the goal and understand the difference it will make in your life. When we see something clearly, it creates in how we act as we have clarity and direction. Evaluate your goals. Remember that goal setting is a process, and evaluation is an important part of that process. Don't just settle for a good or bad assessment. Think about what you did, how you did it, and what got you out of it. Whether you successfully accomplished your goal or not, there's always something to be learned. What works or doesn't work for you, whether achieving your goal lived up to your expectations, or maybe even why you failed. Extracting these lessons will increase your accomplishments even more as you apply them to your future goal setting experience. Number 6, recognize and reward yourself when you meet a goal. Internal satisfaction is a great thing, but external rewards can be immensely satisfying too. When you accomplish a goal, you devoted time and effort to your success, so take the time to celebrate your success too. Now, one caveat, don't undermine your efforts by choosing an inappropriate reward. Getting into an altercation while intoxicated from celebrating is not an appropriate reward for losing 20 pounds. How about you get a new outfit, go shopping? I think that would be a more suitable choice. Number 7, separate daily goals from short term goals and long term goals. Daily goals can be very inspirational. Something as simple as making sure you make your bed, wash your face, brush your teeth, stay offline one day per week, maybe take a couple minutes to yourself and meditate or listen to my daily affirmation videos. These things can be very impactful to our conscious and unconscious success. And if you have a bad day, at least you're coming home to a bed that's made and ready for you. Number 8, choose goals that are worthwhile. You would think it would go without saying, but lots of people set meaningless goals and then wonder why they don't feel any sense of achievement. Remember that the purpose of goal setting is to move us forward and spur positive change. If a goal doesn't have this motivating transformational quality, don't bother with it. You'll just be disappointed. Deciding to start a business is a worthy, life changing goal. It can spur you on to investigate business ideas, put together business plans, obtain debt and equity financing, hire employees, and market your products or services. Going back to school for a degree or to learn a trade is a worthy goal. Number 9, make your goal public. Making your goal public is a technique that is really effective for many people. You don't have to join an organization or broadcast your goal on Facebook page to make your goal public. Having an accountability partner or goal buddy A single person interested in your efforts can be just as effective. Knowing that others are going to be monitoring your results ensures commitment to the goal and is extremely motivating. Last but not least, number 10, don't give up. Once upon a time, there was a guy. He had found gold on his land and he prospered for many years until one day the man couldn't find any more gold. He searched every day, timeless, countless hours, until one day he gave up and sold the property to someone else. Well, you know what? That very next day, on the cover of the newspaper was the guy he sold the property to. The new owner found the world's biggest gold nugget, literally 3 feet from where the previous owner gave up and stopped. Maintain that burning desire to win. It's essential to success. Sometimes we're ahead of schedule. Sometimes we're behind schedule, but at least we have a schedule. If that man would have kept looking and kept searching and never gave up, he too could have found that gold nugget. It's okay to make adjustments. Sometimes we have to kick our butt in gear, and sometimes we have to slow down, stop and smell the roses, but don't give up. Thank you for your time. Please follow me on YouTube at Nicholas Wright Mental Health Matters, Instagram Wright Counseling, or reach out by email below. Be encouraged. You got this. Today we're going to talk about goals.
So now we're going to go into our motivational moments, and I am honored to present Danny.
Thank you, Angela. Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here. Um, Today we're talking about goal planning and motivation. And what I like to do is share with you all my experiences around goal planning and motivation and what that's been like throughout my life. Um, but the first thing I like to do, of course, is just tell you a little bit about myself. Um, so my name is Daniel Jones. Everybody calls me Danny. I'm formerly incarcerated. I served 23 years in the Michigan Department of Corrections from the age of 16 to 39. I was released March 12th of 2019. Um, and just in saying that, um, as someone who was formerly incarcerated, recently released, of course, I had a multitude of goals and an abundance of motivation. Um, but before I go to that, I definitely want to speak to um, what my experience in prison was like and how goal planning and motivation played a part in that. Um, and before I go into that, for the sake of clarity, I would like to define these terms because I think when you have a clear understanding of a word or a concept, you can internalize it, and then you can put it into your own words and apply it to your everyday life. So um, the word goal, what that means to me, of course, is a desired result. It's something that you place in front of yourself and you aspire to obtain. It's important to plan goals because it gives you a sense of direction. It provides you with clear steps to take, even when there may be no clear path in view. And motivation. To me, motivation means to move, to energize, or to activate, and it refers to the way in which our urges, our drives, our aspirations, and needs and desires, um, how they direct, control, or explain our behaviors. Um, so for myself, growing up, I grew up with a beautiful family. Had both parents in the household, a grandmother, an older brother, and I felt safe. I felt loved. I felt cared for. Um, and even though I knew like it was a lot going on outside of my house, drugs, crime, violence, it never really had any interest to me because I was so in love at home. Um, but when my parents separated when I was 7 years old, like that changed. Like my life took a turn. My father, who was the breadwinner, who was the provider, um, he's no longer in the household. And now my mother has to go out and look for work. So, for a minute we were struggling financially. My older brother, who I idolized, he was no longer in the house as much as he once was because he had a lot more freedom now that my father was gone, who was also the disciplinarian in our household. Um, so again, like the family dynamic that I once had and once knew, that changed. And then my mother had met a man who she moved into the home, who became her boyfriend. He was abusing drugs. And now those elements that were once outside of my house, they are now present within the home. Um, so that changed my motivation. What was once that eagerness to be home and be with my family, that changed. The motivation was now um, pushing me away from my home. I didn't like being there, um, because again, like my mother's new boyfriend, he's abusing drugs, and in turn, my mother is abusing him just to try and like to get him to stop. I guess out of her rage and anger, she was abusive. So that crime and drugs and violence, which is present in the home, like is pushing me away. And so I turned to the streets, and and I was looking for that family element that I once had, and I thought I found it with a group of individuals who didn't have my best interests at heart. But again, like when I met them, that was the motivation for me, um, to to say, okay, I'm in a better space now. Um, let me try and fit in with them. Let me belong to this group. Um, and so with that, like I looked at it like in order to fit them and be accepted, to fit in with them and be accepted, I had to do as they did, which was carrying guns, using drugs, committing crimes, selling drugs. Um, so I in turn, I became that. That was my motivation. And my goal was just to be accepted, to feel love and protected like I once did. Um, but that element changed again, like because it wasn't that. It wasn't the family dynamic that I was in search of. And that ultimately led me to committing harms in my community and eventually getting me sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. So in turn comes a new set of goals now that I'm faced with incarceration. And of course, at the top of that list was freedom. So my ultimate goal being freedom, um, that came, of course, with layers. Um, Initially, it was just I wanted to be physically free, um, but then the realization came in that that would not be a short-term goal um, as depicted in the presentation. That was a long-term goal because I knew I would be there for over 12 months, and serving a life sentence. Um, I knew that I would come home one day. I just didn't know when. So I didn't have a clear